2017-2018 National Cherry Queen, and I will be honored tonight. We would welcome anyone who would like to speak with questions or comments. We just ask that when the time comes for you to line up behind the microphone, and each person will have about approximately 1 minute, please just keep questions and comments appropriate and respectful. And we ask that the audience please hold applause and reactions until the end so that everyone who wishes to speak will have time to do so. I'd like to now introduce to you Chaplain Dean Reed for the invocation this evening.
Heavenly Father, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May your presence be felt by those really attending this afternoon's meeting. But the word be true and understood by all. For it's in your name we pray. Amen. Church and state.
Thank you, Chaplain. Next, I'd like to ask everyone to please stand as I introduce to you the Boy Scouts Troop 36 for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next, I'd like to introduce to you Congressman Bergman.
Thanks, Ashley, and thanks to the chaplain and to the Boy Scouts for starting off this event the exact same way that we start off every day in the People's House in Washington, D.C. when the House of Representatives opens for business. Some days there's more people there than others, but it doesn't make any difference who's there, Democrats, Republicans, people standing in the gallery, sitting in the gallery. When we start with the pledge, we have a prayer, and we move on with the day's business. And that's how it works. So what I'd like to be able to share with you tonight is some examples of how we do our business and this format with the microphones down there. When we do our conference business a couple of times a week, there's usually some leadership comments. We might have a special presentation on a particular subject, and then we move on to our colleagues in the House who want to come to the microphone and speak their piece. And we do have a clock on them because politicians tend to get long-winded, and so we have to time them so we can get on with the business of the day. So what I'm hopeful for in the experience that all of you will have here tonight is to see how the House of Representatives does its business, how it deals with very complex issues from very different ideological viewpoints, how it prioritizes which of those issues that we debate in regular order and come to conclusion and decision on, and then move forward with passing legislation and sending it on to the Senate, and then how it all works. So I'm not a guy that makes a lot of long-winded speeches or comments or whatever. So I will just say that whatever question you ask tonight, you're going to get the perspective of someone who's been in Congress for 10 months. So that's the perspective that I have. And if I don't know the answer to something, I'm certainly not going to make up the answer, but I will give you the best that I have given 10 months of perspective. So the point is, we have an opportunity, by the way, just so you know, one of the things we don't do in the House is we don't catcall. Okay, if someone is at the mic or if someone else is speaking, we treat them with dignity and respect. By the way, freshman class, anybody know here about the commitment to civility? 3 weeks, okay. 3 weeks after that the Congress was sworn in, our freshman class, Democrat and Republican, authored and signed a commitment to civility that basically said, we are going to argue, debate the issues from very different perspectives. We're going to attack the issue from all different perspectives. But we're not going to attack each other. That's what it means to represent the ideals that we have in how our government is founded and how we work. Because you have 435 unique opinions in that Congress, and we all come from different backgrounds, and we all have different perspectives on things. Now, there are a whole bunch of committees in Congress. I'm on 3. I'm on the Budget Committee. So if you ask me questions about the budget, I'll probably have a pretty good in-depth answer. Okay, I'm on Natural Resources, and I'm on Veterans Affairs. So those 3 committees, there's a pretty good chance. Now you could throw a question out there that maybe I haven't considered or hasn't come across our committee desk, but I'll give you my best answer. And in some cases, I may not have an answer for you, but I will. As we say in D.C., I will take it for the record, and I will get back to you with a written response to your question. So having said that, are you going to ask me a question, or are you just going to throw it open to the committee? Okay, so we're going to start with the easy questions first, right?
Well, thank you for being here today. I'd like to start today's conversation by discussing town halls or community engagement events like this one. We've received a lot of criticism by our opponents on the amount of town halls you've done. What has been your strategy so far, and are you going to hold more events like this one in the future?
Well, the strategy has been, number one, to have a town hall at a time and place where people actually could attend and have a dialogue with someone who actually had been in Congress long enough to give you an informed opinion. Okay? And here we are. As you know, some of you might have attended one last April. We had 2 fairly large ones, one in Gaylord, one in Escanaba. This is a kind of lost count in the last month. And some of you, I think, might be the audience that I met with in August when I promised you I would have town halls across the district sometime after Labor Day and before Halloween. Well, here we are, the day before Halloween, and this is the last one. We did 5 last week before last. And so I enjoy the community engagement events because it's a chance to learn from you. And yes, will we have more? Will it be a while before we have some more? Probably. But the point is, you sent me to Washington, D.C. to work for you, and that's what I'm doing. People ask me if I moved to D.C. I said, no, I'm deployed there on behalf of constituents of the 1st District, and that's what I did. So yes, there'll be more events, and I'm just glad we could kind of round out the fall events with one here in Traverse City.
Wonderful, thank you. Where do you stand on the national health care debate? What needs to be done going forward? Do you support repealing and replacing the Affordable Care Act?
I could give you a real short answer to that, which would be yes, but let me tell you the why. I hear people say, well, why don't we just fix Obamacare? I look at that long and hard. And after a while, there's only so many band-aids you can put on something before you say, we need to do more than just fix something. What we really need to do, by the way, the House, of course, passed the American Health Care Act. The Senate didn't do anything yet, so we're still waiting that would be the House waiting on the Senate to actually do something definitive so we can see what the next step might be for us. But in the end, if we don't focus on a couple of things, number one, driving down the cost of healthcare. Doesn't make any difference if you're, no matter who's paying the insurance, if you don't drive down the cost of healthcare on one side. If you do not start, we as a society start talking about more on community health clinics, on preventive medicine, because you really, it's not about the cost, but about it's the long-term detrimental effects of less than healthy lifestyle choices. I was at the community health clinic here on Garfield today and met with the folks who run that, and it's the same story at all community health clinics. They are where the rubber meets the road in helping people make better lifestyle choices when it comes to their health earlier, that is going to lead to longer, healthier lives for them. And in the end, it will reduce the cost of health care, but that's a different kind of cost. We have challenges in this country, so we still have a lot to do with the health care of the future here in America. Now it's your turn, sir.
Thank you.
By the way, did I say this is not a debate? We don't take questions from the crowd. When you want to talk, when we open it up, walk up, line up, and we'll take your comment at that time.
Thank you. Lastly, I would like to ask about Line 5, which runs through the Straits of Mackinac, has been at the forefront of conversation in the state and especially in your district over the past few years. Just last month, it was found that some of the protective coating on the pipeline was missing, and that this may have been done while installing the supports in recent weeks. What are your thoughts on Line 5 and what should be done in the future?
I'm guessing that many of you have heard me give this answer before because it really hasn't changed very much. And that is, number one, whatever's going on with Line 5 has to be transparent. Transparent from Enbridge's standpoint, from the state standpoint, from anybody else's standpoint who's involved in it, so that we know exactly what is going on. If Line 5 is not continually inspected, when you inspect anything, normally over time you find, if you will, wear points, changes that happen, and that's why you inspect it. So you can take action before something bad happens. So Line 5 needs to be continually inspected. All the parties have to be transparently involved, and if it is not safe, you shut it down until it's safe, and then you evaluate it at that time. You do not take any unnecessary risk, and I will not support taking any unnecessary risk in having any type of fluids, gases, whatever it is, released into our Great Lakes. That's not an option, but we have to be prudent in the transparency and inspection.
Wonderful, thank you, Congressman. Now at this time, we'd like to open up the floor. If you'd like to line up behind the microphone here.
And just by the way, what we'll do is we're just going to go back and forth, side to side, okay?
And each person that goes will have one minute to speak, and as you see my hand raised, it will be a 10-second warning to start to wrap it up, please.
All right, my name is Luna Gerstel. I am a part of the environmental club at school here, and a group of students and I met with you to address climate change concerns this summer. We want to thank you so much for joining the Bipartisan Climate Solutions Caucus. We really appreciate your leadership on this issue. You've heard our presentation on carbon-themed dividend in August. What do you think is the best way to combat rising greenhouse gas emissions?
Well, thank you. And yes, I did join the Climate Solutions Caucus. And there was more than one way to skin the cat, and your presentation. Actually, what I did was I took that and I've given it to some other folks to, take a look at, because I'm not a scientist, if you will. But the point is, we have to consider more than one element of what's occurring in the climate, so that as we work together, both Democrat and Republican, and with the communities at large, it's going to be an ongoing, iterative, not just we work to a point and we make a decision and then we solve climate change. So I'm just looking forward to we haven't had our first meeting of the Climate Caucus yet. I'm hopeful that'll be here fairly soon. And I'll tell you what, folks, there's so many hours in the day, and I think it's the folks who run the committees and run those, but the idea is that the fact of the matter is that people join. And the way it works is that the way the caucus was set up, just in case those of you don't know how it works, is that one Democrat and one Republican join as a team. And my partner in this case was Stephanie Murphy from Orlando, Florida, who's a member of the freshman class. And we're working through this, but it's complex.
We've been
But
debating
we're gonna get
for
there.
30 years. We've been
Now,
debating
if you, sir, when you get to the mic, it's your turn. Okay, please, this is what we're trying to do here. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
By the way, I'm looking forward to coming back to see you guys. It'll probably be after the new year, because I think I'm going to have some more questions for you to consider.
Great.
Okay?
My name is Kim Regan from Williamsburg, Michigan. HR Bill 610 proposes to distribute federal funds for elementary and secondary education in the form of vouchers for eligible students, with talk that if the bill doesn't pass as is, an attempt will be made to provide a workaround, providing tax credits to parents, which will still funnel taxpayer money to private and parochial schools. In Pence's home state of Indiana, where vouchers are already in play, just because a student has a voucher does not mean he or she gets to attend the parent's school of choice. True story. 2 children in the same family receive vouchers to attend a parochial school, but their younger brother comes along who's on the autism spectrum, he's denied acceptance into that school. Considering the discriminatory implications of cherry-picking students at schools receiving taxpayer funds, how do you intend to vote on this bill and why?
Thank you. To answer how and why, since you're giving me this information for the first time here, I tend to make decisions when it's time. So before I vote on the bill, if you'd like to know what I'm going to do, I'd be more than happy to reach out and tell you when, why I'm going to vote on it the way I am.
Knowing that information, if that were included in a bill.
Well, again, when you think about dealing, again, we can play the gotcha game all night long if you'd like, but the point is, I make prudent decisions at the time. So
This is not gotcha, this is about civil and.
I understand that.
I'm going to do a little follow-up to your line 5 position. I think it's a given that line 5 is an environmental catastrophe waiting to happen. However, I also contend that it is a clear and present terrorist target smack dab in the middle of the 1st District. I've done a lot of research. I've talked to a lot of my ex-military and current military friends, and it's scary to think about the fact that 1 or 2 determined people already living in the United States could easily obtain the needed equipment and inflict the damage to cause the pipeline to rupture easily. Strengthening our borders is not going to do anything to stop such an action. Lansing has studied the heck out of the vulnerability of Line 5 for years and is still doing nothing but creating yet another study to delay and sustain this clear and present danger. Given your affirmed zealous support to protecting the resources of Michigan, what will you do to remove this pipe from the bottom of the Straits of Mackinac?
I hate to sound like a broken record, but if it's safe, we're going to keep it safe.
It's not safe. It's proven. It's not safe.
Okay. Thanks.
Open your mind up and look at the evidence, please.
Thank you.
Good point.
I'd like to take a minute before we go to the next, just to remind the audience to please hold applause until the end so everyone will get a chance to speak. Thank you very much.
There should be limitations to First Amendment. My name is Bishop Barney, Traverse City, Michigan. Do you think there should be limits to the First Amendment?
Why would we consider that?
Because you don't seem to support free speech.
So the answer is no.
Tell that to the president, please. Yeah.
Welcome, Congressman. Thank you for coming here to Traverse City. My name is Joel Seacrest. I am a United States Navy veteran of the Submarine Force Pacific in Pearl Harbor, 1962 and 1966. Some in Congress have proposed dramatic changes that will result in cuts to Medicare benefits and force us to pay more for health care. Some call these plans privatization or premium support, while others call it a voucher system. We have worked very hard to earn these benefits, and we count on the benefits that have been promised to us. On October 4th this year, you sent me a letter that said, as your representative in Congress, it is your duty to preserve and protect Social Security. You said that you are committed to strengthening Social Security so that our seniors are guaranteed our benefits while protecting these programs for future generations. As our representative in Washington, we are your constituents, urging you to oppose any efforts to cut our Medicare benefits. And I am assuming that our Medicare program is one of these programs you referred to. Cutting Social Security and Medicare is wrong. Instead, we must improve our much-needed programs for today's beneficiaries and for future generations of Americans. If it's necessary to reform these programs to strengthen them, then we must consider how the programs can be improved and act upon what is necessary. However, it's wrong to cut these programs in order to benefit others, using tax cuts as a subterfuge to justify taking away that which we have earned with our blood, sweat, and tears. We count on these benefits that have been promised to us. Thank you for your vote and support, and we look forward to helping you achieve these measures.
Thank you.
My name is Sharon McLaughlin. I come in peace from Mount Rapids, Michigan. I would like to follow up on Michigan's free speech First Amendment question and ask you, do you believe in limitations on the Second Amendment?
No.
My name is Fred Stone. I'm from Traverse City, Michigan. It seems that my family has to do it, the local governments have to do it, the state governments have to do it. Why doesn't the federal government have a balanced budget amendment? Because they're spending money we don't have.
Great question.
Something to look into.
Well, yeah, the why we don't, because let me just, I've been kind of quiet here for a couple of minutes, but you don't have to look too long and hard into the budget as a member of the budget committee to realize that if we don't bend the spending curve, whether it's a balanced budget amendment or reduction in spending, however we do it, in 1965, they had two big pots, lots of money. You have mandatory spending and discretionary spending. In 1965, mandatory spending consumed 34% of the federal budget. As recently as a few years ago, mandatory spending consumed 65% of the federal budget. If you just take the trajectory out in our grandchildren's adult lives, mandatory spending will eclipse 100% of the federal budget. So whether you balance the budget or not, and it's good, you know, we've got two things we're dealing with here. If we don't get control of the mandatory spending, there will be no discretionary spending, which is things like education, infrastructure, pick your a lot of things. There will be no money for it because it'll all be required in the federal budget. So it is a huge fiscal challenge going forward. And yes, we have to tackle it in a different way, but we can't continue to spend at the rate we're spending.
13 aircraft carrier groups, isn't that?
It's not your turn, sir. It's not your turn.
Thank you, Congressman, for being here today. And I really do appreciate your commitment to civility. I just wish that other units of government, like the University of East Anglia Climate Research Unit, would have done that when they deliberately pulled papers of reports by scientists that disagree with man-made global warming. So in the interest of that, in the interest of fairness, because I think you said you believe in that kind of commitment, how about a red team, blue team, like it was recommended, I think it was on the pages of New York Times, about a debate between those scientists. You know, they keep telling us that it's settled science, and yet they can't give us a paper that really proves it. They keep doing, I realize the commitment isn't, your commitment isn't shared by some here. So I would just mention that, and also just to say that my time is up.
Getting close.
Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution defines your power and your authority, and we're hoping that you don't exceed that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jack. Congressman, Long Lake Township, Traverse City. So, in the last couple of months, with all the hurricanes and the devastation that we've seen in the southern United States as well as Puerto Rico, you know, now more than ever, I think we need to see federal response to those types of emergencies. So far, they've confirmed nearly 1,000 dead in Puerto Rico. Those are American citizens. Puerto Rico is part of America. Those are American citizens. On October 12th, the House voted overwhelmingly in favor of an aid package for Puerto Rico, 353 to 69. You were one of those 69 Senate or House representatives that voted against it. Please don't miss, guys, and ask me a question. I'm trying to be civil as well. I'm wondering, Jack, why did you vote no when you knew overwhelmingly it was going to pass and these people need our help? These are Americans.
Well, first of all, one of the things you don't know, because there's a lot of things that happen, if you will, under the radar, and Jennifer Gonzalez-Colon, who's a representative from Puerto Rico, is a member of our freshman class and a very close colleague, and literally within hours after the hurricane started to strike Puerto Rico, Jennifer, we had a kind of a little thread going amongst several of our freshman class members. We have some doctors, we have some ex-military folks, some business people, but we had a thread going as to how quickly could we start working as a group to start getting aid to Puerto Rico in terms of things like temporary suspension of the Jones Act, so ships become another more of a governmental thing, but you know, as crisis humanitarian assistance, disaster relief, which I did spend a lot of time in when I was in the Marine Corps, is that to get forces flowing, because you can't come in while the hurricane's still there, you can't all of a sudden when the winds die down and the sky's clear up, all of a sudden everything is not on station like a Hollywood movie that's right there and we can start the relief efforts. So the point is, I was involved with some freshmen early on to start to get the ball rolling. From a standpoint of voting for continuing packages that don't reflect the need to reform flood insurance and other things to continue to do this. It goes back to the fiscal spending. Puerto Rico's getting the aid, they're getting that, but I felt that in this particular case, the way that package was put together, that did not reflect the realities that we need to move on forward. So it's not about Puerto Rico, it's about how Congress doesn't take responsibility sometimes for its fiscal responsibility.
I understand that. I think in this case it was about Puerto Rico. Thank you.
As a state, Michigan has in the process of passing a constitutional carry amendment for their constitution to there. What can you do from the federal level to keep the AGF and the, shall we say, the traitors in Congress from attempting to overthrow our Second Amendment rights itself?
Well, number one, I'm not going to do anything or support anything that will in any way infringe on our Second Amendment rights. So the point is Congress has to be vigilant in all areas to ensure that folks who do the right thing are not accidentally penalized for those who don't. And that's more of a generic answer. That just falls into that category where Congress has responsibility and oversight for functions, what's going on in the federal government. So we have an over-regulated environment right now across the federal government that not only infringes in areas, but also wastes a tremendous amount of resources. So the point is, I'm not going to do anything that's going to infringe our Second Amendment rights, and I'll make sure that my fellow members of Congress do the same thing.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Congressman, and welcome to Traverse City. My name is Steve Horn. I'm from Interlochen, new resident of the state of Michigan. I met you at the Cherry Festival Parade, and when I spoke with you, I said that I've heard you several times, and that while you and I might well disagree on policies, that you had, first of all, my respect for your service in Congress and in the military, and also that you had the best of my thinking and always civil discussion. The topic is fiscal responsibility and proposed tax cuts, and while the detail of those is lacking, most, if not all, of the analyses that I've read indicate that it will create a $1.5 trillion hole in the budget over 10 years and provide 70 to 80% of the benefits to the top 1 or 2% of the people in the country. Now, recognizing that the details are not specific yet, what are your goals for a new tax approach, and which parts of the electorate should it benefit most directly? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Let's start with who should benefit. Let's start with that. And you can pretty much apply this answer across the board in most subjects that we might talk about when it comes to building an economy or creating a healthcare system that works, or whatever happens to be, creating a health savings account, or education savings account. This country was founded on small business. It wasn't founded by large corporations. It was founded by small business. So anything, in the case of tax reform, that disincentivizes individuals and small businesses from being able to go forward and expand their business, in expanding that business, maybe expensing equipment over a year as opposed to a longer time frame that allows them to add equipment. Usually when you add equipment, means you have to add a few jobs, so that sort of thing. I am going to work very hard to ensure that the small business owner, that today you call it pass-through S-Corp LLC, is the big gainer, right along with the individual who doesn't make a lot of money, but who is a hard-working American that by what's been thrown out here, doubling the size of the standard deduction so that if you go from 10% under the old tax code, you really go to 0% under the new tax code. Simplifying the system, but putting more money back into the pockets of individuals. And if you have a simpler and fairer tax code, you're going to have less work for the IRS to do. And therefore, we have less unnecessary oversight, because the oversight comes when you complicate the system to the point where nobody, the average taxpayer, can't understand it. Therefore, they have to hire people who have to go to school every year to understand changes. That's just wrong. But if you create, there's risk in everything. There's risk in everything you do. There's no one right or wrong answer to something. You have to assess the risk. This income tax overhaul, tax cut, tax reform proposal basically says that we are going to grow the economy because it increased cash flow, dollar turnover, whatever term you want to use, so that we will have growth. So now, ladies and gentlemen, if we need to take a break, we can do that. If we need to calm down, we can do that. Okay, but that's who will get, from my perspective, who I'm going to work to get the advantages. And if you want to talk about C corps, big corporations, if you own a big corporation, you have a choice where you can headquarter anywhere in the world. So all I'm asking from the C corp rate is that when a company decides where it locates its corporate headquarters and therefore jobs, that the United States be viewed as a competitive market where they would seriously consider us as opposed to Ireland or somewhere else that has a much lower rate. So that's what we have to do.
My name is Laura DeGabriel, Traverse City. First, a comment: if you really cared about the Great Lakes, you'd shut that pipeline down so we could prevent and we'd like people in Flint to have water too, to drink. So that should be coming. My question is this: how many of your constituents in districts are benefiting from ACA? Number. That now have health insurance.
40,000.
How about 39,000 and change?
39,000 and change. So, you would prefer to take their health care away from them? I mean, there's benefits there, okay? Everybody's established that people are happy that are happy, and I'm happy that people can get health care.
I'd be much happier if we had healthcare providers across the first district here, period, regardless of the pay, where the insurance is coming from. Because the fact of the matter is, we're largely a rural district, and if we can't deliver healthcare, if we have to, the point is, that's not what insurance does. Insurance doesn't deliver healthcare. So the point is, go ahead, I'll let you finish. I'm sorry I interrupted you. That wasn't very kind of me.
But if we're in a rural area, that's not the issue. But to cut them from the preventive services that they need to get the basic care.
Focus your focus here on preventative care, on community health clinics, and all that, and get the people in a position where they're in better shape.
But the community clinics don't get enough funding for it. So we have a healthcare system that people can have access to.
Insurance and funding and community healthcare clinics are a different thing, but anyway.
I just want to support ACA and hope that you really listen to your constituents, because people are talking and they need their health insurance as is, and we can improve it. There's no doubt about it.
John Nelson, Traverse City. I sit on the board of directors of the Watershed Center, Grand Traverse State. We use funding from the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative funding and other EPA funding to keep our waters here in Grand Traverse State and this watershed clean. Scott Pruitt has zeroed out that money for nationwide. how do you stand on that issue, and how did you vote in the last week in the budget that included Scott Pruitt's suggestion?
So we're talking about Great Lakes funding.
Great Lakes Restoration Initiative and other EPA funding that.
Now, well, as you know, that when the original president's budget came out, the GRI was budget zero. Okay, I spearheaded an effort that we got 22 legislators across the Great Lakes districts that border the Great Lakes to say, no, we need this. Because there's $300 million is what we're talking about here in the budget line item. There are 3,500 line item expenditures within that $300 million. We need that funding to stay. So I don't support zeroing out the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative. Anything, you look at the letters that we sent, it was just the opposite.
How did you vote? How did you vote?
How did you vote on
That was the
the
question.
I voted on the budget, yes, I voted yes to the budget, but that's the budget. That's the budget. Whoa, no, it's not, wait a minute, let's take a break here for a second, I'm gonna give you a little education. The budget is the budget. Oh, I'm sorry, I guess I'm the only one learning here. Okay. The budget committee does top line for the federal government. Okay? The appropriations committees do where they allocate where the money's spent. So I just understand. So who's next?
Hello, my name is Kathy White-Juska. I'm from Empire, Michigan. So Representative Bergman, as a Christian, how can you justify your stance against 1.5 million DACA people that marginalizes and disrespects this group of people in a way that Jesus never will do? And it would also contribute to a $14 million loss in the GDP in your district alone by the deportation of these DACA people. Is this what Jesus would do? I think not.
Yes, sir. What's your statement? What would Jesus do? Do you want to restate it? Because I thought you were just, I missed the question.
How do you justify your conscience?
I'm not sure how I justify my conscience, but what's the question?
The question is your stance on the DACA people. How can you justify that with being a Christian and not supporting the DACA people? That's my question. How can you make those two blend together and not support a group of people that were brought here as children, didn't choose to come here, but are a huge contributor to our economy? That's my question.
I'm very, well, okay, let me answer maybe in a different way. I'm very thankful that the president dropped the DACA issue in the Congress's lap. So I'm looking forward to dealing with it. As we deal with it in Congress, you like anything else, you debate and we decide. Now, wait a minute, come on, relax, folks, relax.
Hello, we need to move on. My name is William Bergman. I'm a retired physician from Traverse City. I'm going to ask or echo Mr. Steve Horn's question a minute or two ago. Representative Bergman, I would guess that as a man of faith and that you're a decent and honorable man, and you've taken it upon yourself to serve our country in the military, and you're now choosing to serve our country again by working in Washington. And I applaud you for that. But I'm confused. I'm confused about who you are serving now in government. The rich, you know, the top 1/10 of 1% now owns as much wealth as about 90% of Americans combined. And this group includes 115,000 households that have at least $20 million each. The wealthiest 20 people now own more wealth than half the American population. And yet the most important issue for the congressional Republicans is to give these people a tax cut. 80% of the proposed tax cut will go to the top 1%, and half of that goes to the top 1/10 of 1%. How can you vote as a decent human being for this tax cut that, that will give extra money to these people that don't need it, and at the same time lead to the taking away of the social safety net, the Medicaid and the Medicare and just regular health care for tens of millions of Americans? Are you working in Washington to serve us, we the people, or your billionaire donors?
Could you repeat that?
I'd be very happy to, because I'm confused. I mean, I think this is...
I heard what you said. Repeat the question.
Okay, the question is, are you working to serve us, given those facts I just told you? It seems like you're working to serve the billionaire donors who will see the greatest benefit. It's not tax reform from all the experts talking about this proposed. It's tax cuts. And most of these tax cuts are going to billionaires, or at least people with $20 million each in their families. So, which do you want? Who are you serving? And how do you justify as a decent man of faith?
I serve the people of the first district.
Well, we would thank you for that, so I hope that's all we're hoping here, that you listen to our concerns and start thinking about your Christian values. In all, I have 14 questions for this. I had to choose just one because we all have questions. We've been coming to your office for several times a month to try to ask you questions. I get these identical emails from you. I've gotten 5 of them this month alone that say, thank you for asking this question. When I coordinate with my staff, I'll give a specific answer to each of you. I haven't gotten any specific answers yet. How about a specific answer on this
one? Okay.
Funny, that happened to me too.
He has specific questions in his...
I answered his question. He said, who do you serve? I said, I serve the people in the first district. That was the Now, sir, you're number 5 in line. It'll be your turn in about, depending on the rate we're going, probably about 10 minutes.
Representative Bergman, my name is Stephen Hole. I live in Traverse City, Michigan. I've been active with the Citizens Climate Lobby for the last 10 or 11 months. I appreciate your efforts to listen and educate yourself about the carbon fee and dividend, and you're joining the Climate Solutions Caucus. What will it take for you to move to fully endorse carbon fee and dividend?
It'll take, I'm a data guy, so it'll take study, it'll take time, and it'll take debate, and it'll take input.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Hi, Representative Bergman. I just want to thank you for all the time that you spent with us, and I want to thank you for empowering the C Club high school students, and we went right out of your way on your own accord to meet with them and to investigate further about our proposed legislation. You're not aware of this yet, but the caucus is taking the floor on Wednesday for a full hour. So I'm not going to ask you to say yes or no right here, but I just wanted to make you aware of it and consider representing us.
Are we doing floor speeches?
I don't know the details of it yet, but I'm trying to find it
Okay.
out, and I'll let you know.
Great, thanks.
name is Dottie Hawthorne. I'm from Petoskey. I have a child which I would put in the category of vulnerable child. He was served by services in the school system as far as special ed and everything. And I look at what Betsy DeVos is doing as far as the funding for the vulnerable children. What are your feelings about cutting funding for the vulnerable?
When you talk about we are a country who cares for all of our people, we are a country who takes care of one another when times are tough. So the point is, we have to have an education system, in the words of my daughter, be a career elementary teacher, who makes sure that everyone, no matter what their capability, gets the education that's going to prepare them for the next steps in life. So anything I do in support is going to be focused on ensuring that every young child has the opportunity for a quality education.
I guess one last thing I would say related to Betsy DeVos. She should be representing the state of Michigan much better than she is. She does not have a teacher certificate. She did not know as far as that much as far as other than charter schools. And I'm very disappointed that she's representing our state in
Hello, Congressman Bergman. I also would like to thank you for you joining the caucus, the Bipartisan Climate Solutions Caucus, at least being open to having a good discussion about that issue. And thank you for your leadership on the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative and trying to retain funding in that. I have a slightly different Line 5 pipeline point I'd like to make. I did my best to read the 100-page document that was, delivered on assessing the safety of the pipeline and the costs of different alternatives. And it was built in the 50s. It was not intended to last until 2017. I may have misread it, but I believe that the cost of replacing the pipeline is a relatively modest $15 million. There are people in the audience that would love to see it shut down and have no oil going underneath the Straits of Mackinac, where there are incredible forces on this aging pipeline. But wouldn't a prudent middle ground be requiring replacement to the standards of 2017?
Thank you for asking that question. Do you mind if I do a little poll here? How many people would support replacing Pipeline 5 with a brand new pipeline?
No oil.
Okay, so how many people would now do it with your hands, not with your mouths, please? How many people do not want any pipeline in the Straits at all? I'm with you, by the way.
Thank you.
Frank, I'm a retired guy from Emmett County.
You're what?
A retired person from Emmett County.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for showing up finally, Congressman, and I know you've been busy debating climate science there in D.C.
Frank, are you a stand-up comedian in your retirement?
No more than you.
That's perfect. Frank must know my wife. Because my wife gives me guidance when I go somewhere. She says, "You're not funny. Don't try to be funny. Don't tell jokes." So that's why I don't go. Okay, Frank, you're on, buddy.
Okay, thanks. If or when Special Counsel Robert Mueller is fired by Donald Trump, and I assume you read the news and must realize this is a distinct possibility, at what point will you withdraw your support for the president and finally demand ethics and accountability?
Could you repeat that? No, I kind of got lost. Was I withdrawing my support from the president? Was I?
Well, we know that you're a strong supporter of President Trump,
Okay.
and I haven't seen any public pronouncements from you. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'd love to hear it, pertaining to the president's woeful lack of ethics and accountability to the American people. I mean, he's a deeply flawed person. We all know that. Many of your party know. But at what point will you withdraw your support for him if he fires Special Counsel Mueller?
Well, I don't feel this.
I know,
Okay?
but you
So therefore, it's
question.
a moot point. Let's have a discussion when it's appropriate, because that's.
It's never appropriate, you know, that's the thing. You never have an answer. You never have an answer.
Hi, Congressman Bergman. My name is Susanna. I'm from Traverse City, and I'd like to also thank you for joining the House Bipartisan Climate Solutions Caucus. I know that you are a data guy, and when you presented to my son and the rest of the kids in August, you were amazingly engaged and interested in the presentation that they gave, describing different ways of putting a price on carbon. And I know that you just mentioned coming back and getting more information. Would you be willing to engage a little bit more closely with Carlos Curbelo, the representative from Florida, who started the Climate Solutions Caucus, and kind of dive into it a little bit more so that you can learn more and be more proactive about a possible solution?
Yes, I wouldn't have joined the caucus if I wasn't interested in learning more. And you learn more by working, you learn more by listening than you do by talking, and I'm not an expert in that, and that's why I'm anxious to listen to a lot of folks.
Thank you.
I'm Ellen Bidinson. I live just a few blocks from here. Thank you very much for holding this tonight. I've spoken with several people when I call your office, so I appreciate that. I've been able to get to them. My question again goes back to the tax reforms. I know you voted for the budget, which is basically a springboard for the tax reform plans. At this point, it looks like a lot of it's heavily weighted for tax cuts for the wealthy and the corporations. I know you're concerned about small business. I understand that. The estate tax removal, it sounds like it's really in favor more of the wealthy, not the small farms and the small businesses. Will you work, my question is, will you work with Dems to bring forward a true, fair tax reform for all and not just the 1%?
Absolutely. I love to work with my Democratic colleagues, absolutely.
Congressman, it's good that you're here tonight. This is probably your most populated area of constituency, is that correct? So we do need to have you here, finally. You made it. The last day that you were here. Your moves to repeal the ACA in favor of the AHCA are really kind of bogus. And I'm curious how you addressed your 40,000 people in the UP and Northern Michigan as to the ramifications of what will happen when you finally bury Obamacare, which I think is what you guys don't like the name Obama anyway. So that's my opinion. So I think it would behoove you to really check this thing out and give it a fair hearing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Congressman. Thank you for coming, and thank you for joining the Climate Caucus. My name is John O'Neill. I live in Cedar, Michigan. Ask any local business person or farmer, our local economy suffers critical shortage of laborers. Multiple studies and surveys confirm this. There are simply not enough local people able or willing to work in our primary industries, agriculture and tourism. Several reforms are necessary to assure that seasonal workers, who are key to our economy, are willing to labor in jobs that are difficult and often pay modest to medium wages. First of all, the H-2A and H-2B desk worker visas must be reformed. For most farmers and business people, the paperwork is burdensome, and the requirement to pay transportation to and from the worker's native country is economically infeasible. The paperwork should be streamlined so workers should be vetted and be allowed to apply for the visas themselves. This is important, for example, in agriculture, where many of the workers follow the crops north, and coordination between farmers is virtually impossible. These visas should not be seasonal, but allow law-abiding workers to remain in the country. And finally, I believe it's imperative that DACA be extended It's simply unjust and unworthy of America to deport students and workers who contribute to our society because they were brought to this country as children without documentation. This breaks up families. DACA should be extended until legislation that allows working, law-abiding people to apply for green card status. Several years ago, and again, this is just one example of the effect it has on our local economy. Several years ago, the Asparagus crop in Bergman County failed because the Michigan legislature was considering punitive laws for migrants. Just the prospect of this legislation, which didn't pass, was enough to dissuade workers to come and the farmers' crops withered in the field. I'm asking then, where do you stand on reforming the H-2A and the H-2B guest worker visas? And I ask you to reconsider your position on DACA.
Did you want me to respond?
Oh, I definitely.
Okay. Well, again, especially the H-2Bs, when you look at, there was some views that these were taking jobs away from American workers. We know that's not true. We know that's not true. Because the length, first of all, just look at the length of a job for an H-2B worker. They're too long of a job for a lot of college students to do because they're still in school when the job starts, and they're already back in school when the job is still going. They're not long enough to create a full-time job for an American worker who needs year-round employment. So what do you do with these jobs, right? They don't fit into the demographics of what our workers need, whether it be part-time work or full-time work. These people in the H-2B especially, like, they come here, they're not applying for, permanent status. They come here, they want to work, and they want to go home to where it is that they do. They're good employees. It fills a niche that can't be filled any other way. The challenge that I personally experienced in trying to move any type of legislation is to get the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Labor to come to agreement on this, and we as the Michigan delegation, both Democrats and Republicans, have been very involved. And again, because a lot of the H-2Bs are in our district. So I was the designated lead in this to continue to push through to get what we're calling we'd like to give it a 3-year look back, but they're only going to give us a 1-year look back, maybe 2 at best, to see what the numbers are so they can move forward with, okay, here's the baseline, and the number of visas maybe is 60,000 or whatever it happens to be, here's what we need. But it's the challenge is getting the bureaucracies off the dime to actually do something. And that's, go ahead.
Well, the paperwork, though, for the businesses excludes all but the largest businesses.
Yes. Yeah, I'll make a generic statement here because it's going to apply across pretty much any question that we have in any department. The bureaucracies in this country at the federal level they're part of the problem and not part of the solution to a large extent. And that's some of the challenges we have.
Finally, let me just ask you your data again. Let me ask you on many of these issues to not only look at the data that's being presented now, but the consequence of the decisions that are made.
We have to look forward. You can't just take something in a vacuum and look at it and say without looking back and looking forward to what are the long-term unintended consequences to me.
Well, I agree.
But now, remember, I said this is not a debate, so you've already used your time, so we need to get rolling and see our mind behind it. By the way, if you hear this, that would be actually saying that you need to move it up a little bit in your time.
Hi, my name is Tom. Thank you for coming. And let me add my thanks to everybody else who's been joining bipartisan climate change caucus. I'm concerned about the budget that was just passed and that I believe you voted for, which cuts roughly $1 trillion out of Medicaid and $500 billion out of Medicare. As I'm sure you're aware, Muslim healthcare system, I believe, is the largest employer in this district. and it receives a really substantial portion of its revenue from those two programs. And having patients walk in the door who are able to pay their bills because of those two things. There are some critical care hospitals that could be on the brink of failing completely in rural areas without those programs. So could you tell me why you voted for the budget and if you see some chance of restoring that funding?
We have tremendous fiscal challenges. Earlier I talked about the mandatory and discretionary spending. We've got tremendous fiscal challenges.
Don't cut
We need, it's your turn. Now, you're going to win the prize tonight for being the most unruly, but every class has one. Anyway, I lost my train of thought.
You were talking about fiscal responsibility.
We've got some fiscal. We can't continue to spend and spend and spend and spend. You cannot tax your way out of the situation we're in.
Well, for what it's worth, I agree with what my honorable colleague said.
Okay.
If you're contemplating cutting taxes for the wealthiest people, it just doesn't balance well. You say we have to cut taxes so that the top 1% gets more.
Elaine Miller, and I am a female, and I'm asking you a question about poverty in the 1st Congressional District. The 1st Congressional District has just, a Grand Traverse area was just, it was just noted that poverty has gone up in the last couple of years in this area. And if you look at the poverty level, it is much higher on the side of females and children, and for a variety of reasons. And many of the votes that you have taken are exacerbating that, not helping to ameliorate it. I am speaking in defense of programs where women are given in their insurance policies contraception. I am speaking about programs where women are able to get affordable child care so that they can help feed their children. And I am speaking of equal pay for women throughout, the United States. Most of the votes that you have taken, I feel, have harmed those areas. And I want to know what you are looking at in the future to help women so that they are not in such a large percentage, such a large percentage in poverty.
I'm going to do everything that I can, regardless, male, female, young or old, to ensure that the opportunities, number 1, education, number 2, for employment, number 3, for advancement, are equal for all. I come out of 3 industries where in the military, you're not paid by your gender, you're paid by your rank. In the airline, as an airline pilot, you're not paid by your gender, you're paid by your position. And in my private business endeavors, you weren't paid by your gender, you were paid pretty much, you all worked on straight commission. So the point is, does it make any difference whether you're male or female, or young or old, either accepted a job, you get paid, you get paid.
Barbara Willing, also a female. Tonight, I had the opportunity to meet several students, actually a whole lot of students from the area schools here. They're here on class assignment to get credit for being here. So I really hope that they've learned quite a bit. But in that note, There is the College Transparency Act that's coming before Congress this week. And in Section 3 of that bill has a total annihilation of the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, otherwise known as FERPA. And I really hope that you would vote no on that. My other no vote that I'm begging you for is H.R. 1697, which is also known as the Israeli Anti-Boycott Act. Now, Michigan's already passed this. They passed it January 15th of this year, which is really offensive to me, because the First Amendment allows me to boycott. The First Amendment allows me to challenge my government. So I'm asking you for a no vote because it is a UN initiative that this bill is in response to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just wanted to send a reminder to everyone that we will be closing up at 7 o'clock. So as a community, if we can please just try to be respectful of these last group here so they can all speak before we have to end. Thank you.
Yeah, to tell you what, let me just make, if you will, if all of you ask me questions, and if I can make a call here, if we can do the questions quickly or make the statement quickly and nobody else gets in line, and we're done, we can move forward. We'll stay over. To accommodate you, okay?
My name is Aiden Reed. I'm a resident of Garfield Township. As the son of Marina, I'd like to thank you for your service. And as a member of Tri-City Central C Club, I'd like to thank you for joining the Bipartisan Climate Solutions Conference. We as a group within C Club are hoping to see you take on a leadership position.
No, wait a minute, hold on just a second. Now, a bunch of people just jumped in line. So, I was being kind here, now don't violate the rules, kids. Okay.
We as a group are hoping to see you take a leadership position within the caucus to look at the data, listen to the researchers, hopefully jump on board with those who help start the caucus and to push for climate solution reforms. And my question is, are you willing to dive deeper into the data, put more time into it, and take a leadership position on this issue?
Yes.
Thank you.
My name is Bergman. I live on the peninsula right here. I'd like to thank you for being here. One of your opening comments was that healthcare is too expensive. And I agree with that. The number one reason people file bankruptcy in this country is because they can't pay their medical bills. And 25%, according to the Kaiser Foundation, have trouble paying their medical bills. So my question to you is, given the frustration that so many of us have with the lack of leadership in governments in Washington, D.C. today, what are you going to do to provide essential medical services to all Americans, especially, and you alluded to lifestyle, that it was, you almost were blaming them, to children, elderly people, people with pre-existing conditions, individuals below the poverty line, and the middle class, because I had a hip replacement that cost me $20,000 out of pocket, and I had private insurance that cost me $950 a month, and it was not my lifestyle that cost that. So I'd like to know.
I ran on a platform of federalism, get the government out of your business where it doesn't belong, get it off your back. So the bottom line is, if you want a one-size-fits-all from the federal government, that's what you're going to get, and a one-size-fits-no-one. So what I am going to do is work extremely hard to get the federal government out of the healthcare business and put it into the service.
I'm Robert Johnson from Peninsula Township. I decided not to come here and badger you with all the policies differences that we have. We'll deal with that in the upcoming elections. But there is one issue that President Trump tried to address, and I agree very much. It's the domain of the environmentalists. As you know, we have major flooding problems, and they're only getting worse with global warming. Houston is an example where they built in a fishbowl. We've had laws on the books that prevent building in wetland areas. in many cases, those are the areas we're dealing with right now. President Trump decided that he would push for a policy where we don't sell government flood insurance to new buildings that are constructed in flood-prone areas. Many of the environmentalists support that, and so do I. Also, he's looking at areas that repeatedly flood and looking at...
Remember, there are a lot of questions still to go here, so you can tighten up a little bit. If there's a question here, just let me know when you're done.
So would you support that initiative in which we do not sell flood insurance to future new construction in flood-prone areas?
A program like that makes ultimate sense to me, because the fact is, if something happens once to you because you didn't know, there were no building codes, there were none of that, then okay, maybe you can see that you're in either 100-year, you may not be in a 500-year floodplain, you could be in a 100-year or whatever, whatever the delineations are coming down. But we have to be wise about the programs that provide insurance, that they understand that you're not accidentally assuming unnecessary risk, which is what you're talking about here repeatedly.
Good evening, Congressman. My name is Suzanne Greedy. I live in Traverse City, and I'm a healthcare worker. I was born with a pre-existing condition. I have an autoimmune disease for which there is no known cure. So my medical condition is not the result of poor lifestyle choices. This is true of many other people that I care for as well. One of the difficult things that I deal with on a daily basis is wondering what to say to patients that I find crying inconsolably. Recently, during the last attempt of Congress to repeal the Affordable Care Act, I repeatedly found my patients sobbing in their beds while watching the news coverage of this because they were terrified that they would lose their health care. What would you say to me and patients like me about your choices and your votes going forward in Congress? And can you assure us that your choices won't kill us? Thank you.
Yes.
Could you elaborate?
I'm going to ensure I do everything to make sure that the healthcare system that we provide does not kill them. But that's if I interpreted your question correctly.
Hello, I'm Kim Todd of Northport. I'm 61 years old. I've been working since I was 14 years old and paying taxes. I am on the ACA, and I also have been very teary-eyed, upset, and distraught at the idea that as a solo business person, I don't have an option if what you voted through goes through, and also with what you've been walking lockstep with the GOP and working very hard behind the scenes with the president you support to destroy the system from the inside by his crazy tweets about not paying subsidies and by doing everything else. I don't know if everyone knows this, but Priority Healthcare now only offers HMOs, and the policy I had has gone up. If I get it on Blue Cross and Blue Shield, my only other choice over 50%. And I want to say to you, Mr. Bergman, that the thing you don't seem to understand, because you've always been with an institution that provides group health insurance, that if you don't, not having health insurance means not having health care. If you go for a test that would cost $400 to you on your insurance policy, it costs $800 to you if there's no insurance. And forgive me if you would think this rude, but from all of your votes that I have watched on, through various websites and seeing the congressional websites of what you voted for. You do want to kill me. Thank you.
Congressman David McGinnis from Peninsula Township. Thanks for being here this evening. You had mentioned earlier, my question is about healthcare. You had mentioned at the beginning the American Health Care Act going through the House and waiting for the Senate to actually pass something that you can look at. You also mentioned a few minutes ago that you are very anxious to work in bipartisan fashion. I'm curious what your take is on the Alexander Murray bipartisan bill that has yet to hit the floor of the Senate. Yes, I understand that it hasn't come to the House yet, so you haven't read it, but certainly there's enough punditry going on that we have a pretty good idea of what the major talking points are. So I would be interested as to whether or not you would, at first glance, be in support of this bipartisan effort as a starting point, recognizing it doesn't solve all the problems of healthcare. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
So I'd be interested to know if you...
I'm not going to say I'm not going to support something I haven't read. It's just the same as I wouldn't support I'm going to. But give me a chance, by the way, punditry is not exactly at a high watermark in this issue either.
Yes, that's true.
Good evening, Congressman. My name is Evan Daly. I live here in Traverse City. Thank you for coming tonight. Over the past 10 months, you've done a really good job of representing those who voted for you in your district. However, our representative democracy works best when our elected officials work for all of their constituents. What do you plan on taking over the next year or so, longer than that if you're reelected, that will show to your constituents, the 45% or so that didn't vote for you, that their voices are heard in Washington, D.C.?
What legislative actions will I take over the next couple of years, regardless of at least the next year since I'm still in office? And, again, I ran on a platform of fiscal responsibility, federalism, getting the government out of your business, a strong defense that secures the borders, whether it means actually enforcing the immigration laws and policies we have as we move forward to look at what are the needs moving forward. And to being part of a collaborative body that works as bipartisan as possible to make tough and largely unpopular decisions for a lot of folks for the betterment of the country. And to leave, when I leave, whether it's after a year or more years, that I know that whatever I did will have made the world our grandkids will inherit the chance for them to successfully deal with the tough issues of their time when it's their time to step up.
A follow-up if I may.
No, we can go line. No.
Congressman, my name is David Miller. I'm a retired physician from Leelanau County, and I want to thank you for your service in the military as well as in Congress to help solve problems we have. Just to endorse your prior comment briefly of support about trying to control costs in healthcare. This is a realistic, good, one long-term consideration. It is not the answer in totality. My main issue is the fiscal mess that our country is in. I'm grateful that you're on the Budget Committee, and I would hope that you will implore your colleagues to act sensibly and start paying the bills. We have $650 billion deficit this year, plus or minus, and the service on the debt is already hundreds of billions of dollars a year. And it's only going to get worse when the interest rates go up. So with the tax reform, I don't know how you're going to make tax reform reduce taxes and pay the bills. Think about a national sales tax with a sunset. 1%, 8%, things like this. Think about accelerating the increase in the threshold of Social Security, so that there's more money drawn quicker to keep that solvent and make sense. It's not going to happen magically. So I thank you for your efforts. I don't really have a question. I wanted to express my opinions.
Thank you for your informed opinion and thoughtful.
Hi, Jack. I'm Rick Walter. I live here in Traverse City. I had most of my questions that I had asked, but I come back to the budget and you being a federalist and wanting to be physically astute at how things are done. I don't see how you can support a $1.5 billion or a trillion increase in the deficit on our backs. It's and the actual budget hasn't, and numbers haven't really been shown to all of us. I'm sure you've seen a lot more than what we have because it's not out in print. But it's my understanding that the bottom 60% of the households that are earning less than $75,000 a year will get, on average, $160 a year tax cut. That's about $3. That's a cup of coffee, less than a cup of coffee at Starbucks, if we can afford to go to Starbucks on a weekly basis. How does that make the constituents that are the bottom part of the food train feel better? And the real question I have is you mentioned that you want to support small business. What is your definition of small business? It's my understanding that the tax cut proposal only gives taxes, refunds or whatever, to small businesses that are greater than $15 million a year taxable income. What is your definition?
Well, I think first of all, I'm not exactly sure your data is correct. So rather than speculate on data,
What is the definition of small business?
What is the definition of small business? It's not a dollar figure. Not a dollar figure.
Taxes are based on dollars, sir.
You can, well, now again, this is not a debate. Okay? Small business, if you were to, remember I talked about C Corps? You got
small business is not a C Corp.
Sir, this is not a debate. C Corps are large business, pass-throughs, LLCs, small business. If you want to categorize it that way, that's what it'll be.
What number of small businesses that are LLC?
Wait a minute. Again, I'm going to repeat myself here. This is not a debate. You had your question. I gave you the answer. We're going on here because we're running out of time. Sorry to cut you short, but we got to respect everybody's time. I'll be more than happy to engage you later if you'd like.
Hello, my name is Ian McGonigal, and I'm a junior at Traverse City West Senior High School. I'm a student in AP Government class. As a pro-life legislator, I'm wondering if you are aware that abortion rates are lower in areas with comprehensive sex education, and what are your feelings on the lack of such education in TCAPs?
Start with this lower. Start with this lower.
As a pro-life legislator, are you aware that abortion rates are lower in areas with comprehensive sex education, and what are your feelings on the lack of such education in the TCAP system?
I'll take that for the record.
Are you aware that,
No. The point is, if I can't give you an aware answer, I mean, lay it down and I'll lay it out, because the TCAP is using some acronyms and I'm just... Okay. Sorry, I didn't know your acronym. Anyway, let's discuss it.
is there a time that I have to contact you?
Yes, I got folks in my office here, you can talk to Taylor right here, come to the office, and next time I'm here, we'll lay it out.
My name is Barbara Samaras from Leelanau County, and I too want to thank you for recognizing a need to address climate change. But my question, maybe it's a personal one, I want to ask, are you proud of President Trump, where and how he's leading our country at this time? And would you explain your thinking and your intentions in this regard?
Yes.
Can you tell me why you're proud of him?
Leadership are different styles. Okay, I think I'll just pass on answering your question because I think we got a little crazy here, so I'll be more than happy to engage you in different. So, I tell you what, folks, I think we may have run the gamut here, so we have gone over already. So I think when we devolve, we just have to say, time out, and I'm just going to say thanks to all of you for coming. I look forward to the next time we get together. And that's it. Have a good night.